Thanks, everyone. Where to start? I think I'll start with summarising a few of the speakers yesterday, because it's a good intro. Grant Corduroy spoke about the MMM 3s and 4s, are clearly disadvantaged. But as an industry as a whole, you're making 89 cents a day with direct care costs in the plus at $18 odd a day. Everyday living, you're losing 6, accommodation losses, every day losing 10. So net position 89 cents. Simon Miller spoke about scale, AI, technology, remote monitoring, silver tech, like that one. Ian Yates, the Royal Commission recommended seamless aged care, recommended future planning for aged care based on needs, not ratios. The cottage industry still exists. Culture, strategy, governance and dollars. Culture being customer focused, strategy where to go, governance the driver, and money you need it to make it all work. Cam Ansell, proportion of nurses to seniors are declining level of investment in housing and RACs. Ostriches, but if you've got a balance sheet, your demise will be slower. Most exciting period of change for aged care. Apollo Care is an organisation that decided to start with the tough stuff first, regional Australia, where all the negatives are right now. If you can resolve that problem, you can resolve any problem, because you're not selling units for $2 million, etc., etc. Completely different game in regional, and regional's hurting, and everyone knows that. Living longer, living better. I always liked that document years ago when I was in Bethany. Government can't afford aged care going forward. It hasn't got enough bucks. And deregulation of supply, that's happening. 1st of July. Price, task force has just allowed that to happen, at least partial deregulation. Lots and lots going on. Okay. Lots of issues we're dealing with in regional Australia. Lack of expertise and efficiencies, revenues at a disadvantage, costs at a disadvantage. How do you make it work in the current environment? And if you don't make it work, well, there's financial distress and there are sanctions. Stuart Brown provides the evidence that inner regional is in massive pain. You can see the numbers there. They're hurting across the board. Consequently, lots of closures. More closures in regional than in metro. Metro, positive 3,000 EBIT. Inner regional, negative 1,000 odd EBIT. And rural and remote, negative 276. Can't deny the numbers, something's wrong. Look at the cost of agency. If you have agency and you are in regional, you're sinking. Most of the organisations that have joined Apollo Care have high agency and they're sinking. And if you think you can resolve the problem instantly, it's an absolute impossibility, because people don't like to move from Melbourne and Sydney and Perth and Brisbane to the back of Never Kick a Moo Cow. It's very real. Where do the human beings come from? And with salary and wages being 70-80% of all expenses, that number can kill you. So, we've created an organisation that primarily retains the identity of the local community. And I can tell you, every community in regional Australia is parochial. They love their community and they don't want the big boys in there. They've created these aged care facilities, retirement villages, out of their stalls and their little activities and their volunteering and their donations, and it's all about their community. It is extremely real. And if you try and take that away, you've got a fight on your hand. But you need capital investment. A lot of these places are unloved. They've been run down. You can see what a nursing home looks like when you don't put maintenance into it. But you need scale efficiencies. You do. If you don't have the scale efficiencies, you can get into trouble reasonably quickly, and you need capability. You need to have smart people with the right qualifications that know the business assisting in those operations. Rightio. So we do a number of things that help local communities. Firstly, preserving the brand. And we've found this out from real experience with the communities that have come into our organisation. They love their identity. They love being local. And if you're a big organisation and you think you can take over these struggling facilities, and whatever else, because you might not just get an aged care facility, you might get retirement living, you might get affordable housing, you might get the medical centres, you might get the childcare centres, which we're discovering. When you get one, you get the whole lot because it's all part of that community. You've got to maintain the brand. And if you think you can acquire something and have the community accept that they have no role in the governance, it just doesn't work, because how can the community have its voice if it's not involved at governance? We maintain the brand, we keep the name of the organisation, we keep the PBI status, and we keep the communities on the board, so the communities have a say. It's a very hard process, but identity is everything in regional Australia, and therefore the community needs to have a say. They need to be on the board. So you've got to come up with new models of how that can happen. We have Stuart Brown as running our finances, our CFO. How many towns have the capabilities of someone like that organisation in their town doing the financials? You've got to be able to parachute expertise that understand the business into the town. Raising capital. We're a private organisation, but we've worked out how to retain the PBIs in all of the communities. So we effectively have an organisation that can raise capital for PBIs. An unusual model. Took many years to work out how to do it. We can now raise capital for the things that they can't afford, like bringing built form back up to contemporary standards, like being able to pay for the very best IT applications, etc., that you normally can't afford. Organisations that are losing money are not bankable. Can't get the loans from the banks if you're losing money. Raising capital does solve that problem. The one on the end, building permanent workforce, that's a tough one, especially in regional Australia. I'll talk more about that in a moment towards the end. Okay. So, is our theory working? Yeah, it's working. 11 aged care facilities, a bunch of retirement villages, medical centres, childcare, home care, affordable housing. We're growing. So we only started in 2020. We've actually reintroduced into regional Australia 114 new beds. We've reopened a facility a few hours out of Canberra. I've never heard of Harden, that had closed down, and brought life back into that township. It's the largest employer, and now people in that region have a place they can go to, which wasn't there. We achieved full 3-year accreditations on our facilities. A bunch of our facilities were in sanction. More were in financial distress. But recently, organisations that are not in financial distress and not in sanction are joining the organisation. Why? And they're great little regional communities. Governance. The boards are learning more and more, and these boards are good, kind-hearted people, farmers, school teachers, etc., in the bush. And they're learning very quickly through the reform for governance that what you now need for governance in aged care is a whole lot more than used to be. So they're actually making the decisions to exit out of being standalone and come into a more disciplined, highly governance capable organisation, simply because they don't want to get in trouble by failing in governance with all the new rules and regulations. And we're winning a few awards, which is a nice thing to get along the way. Can't underestimate, I did put this slide up a couple of years ago when Chris asked me to speak when we were first starting. There is no head office. We are a virtual organisation. We are in the cloud. The latest and greatest software and applications are piped in to all of the organisations in the regions, and the expertise is outsourced. Stuart Brown, Pace, Leap, Apollon, IT Integrity, outsource everything. I work from home in Perth, although all the organisations are in Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. Big changes. Can you do it? Yes, you can. The real bosses are the RSMs at site. We pipe the information and all the assistance into the people running the sites in the community. Though it is nice for me to go out and see our sites every now and then, it's always good, and it is appropriate, and good governance suggests that you go and see your staff. I don't depreciate a head office. I don't depreciate a big building and charge it back to the nursing homes on a bed basis. And I only pay for back office when needed. I don't have 100, 200 people in a head office, which is effectively a fixed cost that has to be spread out against all of the sites. It is a new model, and it takes time to get the ACNC, ASIC, the ATO, the department and everyone to understand the new regime. But that's what the Royal Commission was all about. There are the communities today. You don't see Apollo Care anywhere. All you do is you see Charingfield, Pres Care, Vincent Court, etc., etc. It is all about the local community. Technology, that's why I did speak about what people had been saying yesterday. Yep, 1 point, we've got all the systems in place. The moment an organisation comes into Apollo Care, and soon as a person is given an email, the email is effectively locked to the position within the organisation, and depending upon that position in the organisation, you get instant access to all of the systems required for you to do your job. As simple as that. If you are the RSM, you get access to everything. If you're the chef, you get access to bits appropriate for you to do your job. All online, all real time. We have SaaS, for those that understand what SaaS is, running through everything. So I don't need human beings to go out to the site because the system feeds everyone. You pay for it, and you pay a lot of money for it. I don't know what everyone knows what the cost to set up the infrastructure so that you are in the cloud. But you never guess what, you need things like super NBNs, etc., to move that amount of data in and out between your site and into the cloud. And you are talking hundreds of thousands of dollars per site just to set up, just to be able to be tech savvy. Where does the money come from? If you're running losses, as I said, you might have to raise the capital because you're not probably going to get a loan from a bank. Banks talk to you when you are able to pay back your debts. The only thing that we have built, other than bought off the shelf, is the QMS, our quality management system. It means that I have the ability to understand online real time the status of every facility against the requirements of accreditation. So I know where we are. I also know that all of our staff in the palm of their hand know the status of every resident, because when you go into the room, they can update their information and it's instantaneous. So therefore your handovers are somewhat reduced because you have all the information there. Keep saying it costs a lot of money, but the system is working, and I have full confidence in where we are at in relation to accreditation at residential care level. Okay. There's some photos there of the facility that we reopened in the town of Harden. Great facility. I know it's a great facility because our chairman, John Young, said he wouldn't mind going there in his later years. But I tell you what, it's a bit of a distance to get out to Old Harden. It really is at the back of Burke. But it is a beautiful facility, but it takes money to bring them back up to standard. And if you have a look at, as I said, facilities in the bush, a lot of them are run down and they do need a lot of investment. What's interesting is speaking with our COO and CFO, we've got capital works of greater than 50 million in the budget planned for the next 3 years. That's on our current stock. So that's building new buildings, upgradings, a whole bunch of things. That's a lot of money. And that's on the current stock, not the future stock. Right, I'll go over and read this. Yes, we have a Tier 1 team. I bring them all in to help us grow the business. And I can only talk from personal experience. I had a C-suite and I had finance divisions and I had HR divisions and I had all these divisions when I ran a rather large not-for-profit in WA many years ago. And I outsource all those functions in this new model. The way the outsourced model works is brilliant. I have not had warfare between the C-suite. They all know their part of the ship and they deliver on that part of the ship. So I don't have problems at the C-suite level. It's been fantastic, and I know each of the people that we outsource the IT or the culture or the HR or the finance to know their bit of the ship and they are experts in it. So they all come together virtually with myself and we work through the issues and they work together really well. And I know they know their part of the business. We've just had recently a cyber penetration exercise done on our entire organisation. Came up trumps everywhere except for one site. We kept one of the websites open on one of our local communities that was developed at local level. Never guess what got pinged. So we've now fixed that one area up. I know IT's running well. I know my finance, I'm getting the right information. We have specialist teams. We do have the efficiencies of scale. I don't think an individual provider in the bush can pay for the level of service that we're able to now provide across all of our beds. Scale is important. Revenues. That's it? Am I done? Okay, revenues. I probably will say just the cost of delivery of care. Lots of optimism. Cost of delivery of care. We have, when we acquire, agency. An agency greater than 50% in some sites. You are in trouble. Getting people in is hard work. You can do palm, you can do a whole bunch of different things. And I've got them there. Lots of strategies to try and bring people in. It takes a long time. I'm talking a year to bring people from overseas into the bush. So you're losing every month while you're still trying to attack agency. We thought we had a possible solution, bringing technology in, basically having telehealth with RNs. Big disconnect. Although the systems are there, although the care is better than agency care for the residents, you never guess what, it's not tagged to care minutes. So I can't use technology to help me fight the care minute issue. So I've got a question mark against staff right now. And until we resolve that one, and it's a big one, we still have some problems to deal with. So there's a lot of good, but there's still some real issues that we need to resolve. Thank you.